right. So we got several folks on. It's a couple minutes after. We could probably go ahead and get started.
Marty, that new supercharger I don't think it's on the plug share yet.
Okay.
In
Well,
Princeton.
there's some agreement between Tesla and PlugShare that you can't add them yourself.
Yeah.
For superchargers.
You saw it was live, Marty, on supercharge.info.
Yeah, it's live. Yeah, people have been charging that for about a week. That's one thing I'd like to bring up. If I posted on the Tesla Motor Club forum on that for that thread, asked folks if they'd like to have a meetup, and several people said they would. So I'd like to propose we have a meetup first Saturday in March. There, anybody wants to come down and celebrate the opening of is it the 12th or 12th or 13th West Virginia Supercharger? I think it's the 12th.
That's in Princeton?
Yeah, in Princeton. Yeah.
When is
Saturday would be the 5th, March the 5th.
Okay. We could do that in lieu of do it around noon so it's warm. Warmer.
Subject to change if get a foot of snow.
yeah, subject to a foot of snow. What a winter. Last winter I didn't even open my ice melt. And this year I've used it all up, including I'm halfway through my second bag.
All right. Well, I think we could send that out on the list and just say we're looking to do that, pending weather and all that stuff. But we'd like to propose that, and anyone who's interested show up on the 5th about noon.
Okay.
I haven't seen the ground since the 6th of January.
How much snow you got up there, Jim?
I don't know. We got another 4 inches last night. I'm doing my driveway, it seems like every other day. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes it's been too damn slippery. And we get out about once a week if we're lucky. It's my driveway. That's the killer. It's 850 feet, 17% or degree slope.
You need to get a snowplow put on the front of that EV of yours.
No, I've got a snowblower on the front of my tractor.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I couldn't survive without that. But no, I have probably, I don't know, 15 to 20 inches on the ground here. The ski resort is going absolutely crazy. Every time I look at the snow cams over there, it looks like a bunch of ants on an anthill they've just completely turned that thing around compared to the old Timberline.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Talking about the snow removal, I've got the Ryobi electric riding mower. I got a blade for it, so I move snow off my driveway with my riding mower.
Yeah, but the other day when I did my drive, the snow depth was over the top of the blower.
Yeah, a little difference in level of snow, between Charleston and Canaan.
So I grew up in Aurora, lived there till I was 9 years old, up on top of Cheat Mountain. Yeah, and I remember snow like that. I mean, there was snow on the ground through April, and there was a big cut we were on the right on the Terra Alta Road, and there was a big cut that would fill up, and it was probably 25 foot deep. And it would take the snowblower, half an hour to get through that one cut.
I believe it. No, since we've lived here, our biggest snow was 259 inches.
Well,
For
now
the
I'll
season.
give you my story. My standing seam metal roof that I installed under my solar panels is really good for the snow slipping off of. It's a nice smooth surface. And so I have what's called a subroof attached, which is where my dining room and my house comes out a little bit, and there's a little what's called a subroof. With the standing seam metal, the snow was coming down and curled like this. And I think it was the 19th, I had my next door neighbor take a picture. I said, this thing's going to fall. All this snow all curled like this, and it fell down on the awning up in front of my front door and just dented that thing, just bent it in. So we all have our snow stories from 2022. And
There we go.
Believe me, I had to use all my salt up and get new salt also. So
My
I do
driveway
have a
in Maryland,
Oh, go ahead, Rick.
my driveway in Maryland was a quarter mile from the road to the house, and it took, with a front end loader on a heavy snow, it'd take 4 hours to clear it out.
Well, I wanted to switch gears and talk a little bit about John and your new Bolt battery, because I think you sent out your email saying you got it replaced and you've had a little more
Yeah.
time with it.
Yeah.
So how'd that go, and what are you seeing now?
Uh-huh. Well, I haven't driven it enough to really, I mean, our problem is the range indicator doesn't work very well because we live at the bottom of a 7-mile mountain that we go up all the time, and it just totally screwballs the range indicator. It looks like there's definitely more range. I mean, this battery my old one's 5 years old. So, I mean, we got a brand new battery with a bigger battery anyway. And so if there was any degradation, we don't have that. And they were great about it. The dealer, they did it quickly. They gave me a loaner. They've got 2 EV technicians. I think it was the first one they've done, but I think they did a good job of it. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Was that in Beckley?
Pardon?
Was that in Beckley?
Oak Hill,
Okay.
King Cole Chevrolet. So
Jim,
the
I
one in
think you got
Beckley
yours
was-
replaced too.
Hmm.
Like Jim, I think you got yours replaced too. Of course, you probably haven't been able to get out in it either.
No, I haven't. I don't even know. I don't think I will have mine replaced.
Oh, okay? You won't. Okay.
Because mine is from the second half of 19, and it's one of the Detroit LGs, and from what I read, they're going by VIN number as the replacement process. And my lease will be up in next January, so I don't know. Maybe that will, maybe I won't. But so far, no.
Gotcha. I also saw some speculation. I mean, this is just speculation, of course, but that GM might actually go ahead, and since they've got some other EVs coming, and they're reworking that the plant where the bolts were made, was it the Orion plant, I believe? Since they're investing that new $7 billion in that plant, that they might go ahead and just cancel the Bolt line in favor of the new Ultium-based EVs. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
That's the same plant where they built the Volt
Right.
PHEV.
Hmm.
And I think the Cadillac PHEV that was a clone of the Volt was built there too.
I think they're really focused on, what is it, the new Equinox EV. They showed that prototype,
Yeah.
small SUV EV thing.
I think that's going to be the replacement for the Bolt.
Yeah, I agree. For both the Bolt and the Bolt EUV, I think both of those, the new Equinox EV will probably just replace both.
How about Rick? Rick, are you getting a new battery?
Well, we hope. I got the call on the 28th of December or 27th of December. And the dealer said they ordered on the 28th. Well, 2 weeks went by and I called because they said the concierge said it would be about 2 weeks for that distance. And so I called 2 weeks later. No sign of it. So I waited another 2 weeks, called 2 weeks later. Now we're at 4 weeks. And they said, we didn't order it. You're supposed to order it. And I said, I'm not supposed to order it. And they said, the concierge said, no, you're not. You're supposed to order it. So I called the concierge back again, and they were really pissed at the dealership. And the very nice lady called, had a conference call without me, but with the parts department and the service department. And then she called me back. She said, we have ordered the battery, the three of them, and it should be there in 2 weeks. So it should be about a week from this coming Tuesday. We'll see.
Yeah, because my dealer ordered it and it came like instantly. I don't know. It was within 2 weeks that it came, I think, once when they put in, I had to bring it in, they inspected the car and they put in the order and boom.
How long did it take?
To put it in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, was it overnight or
it was
same day?
Well, there was a snowstorm coming. It was that last snowstorm. So I took it in early. I took it in like on a Friday and they had it ready Tuesday morning, charging it for me. So
Did they give you a loaner?
They gave me a Malibu. Well, it was, which I had to park at the bottom of my hill, thank goodness. Because otherwise I wouldn't have got the Malibu back to them.
My dealer's giving no loaners.
Anyway, I took the loaner because I didn't know in case it was a complication, I didn't want to be without another car.
What other news do we got this week or the past few weeks since the new year?
Well, there was an interesting.
I've got a little bit of news.
Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to go ahead, Marty.
No, go ahead.
You folks probably know that back in May, we put a deposit, $100 deposit down for an F-150 Lightning, just keep our options open. Well, the dealer called and I said, well, I'd like to just be skipped like you do with a Tesla and so forth and just wait a bit. He said, well, they won't let us do that. And he said, even if you don't want the truck, we'll be glad to have it because they're going to have a hard time getting them. The dealers, they've apparently stopped taking reservations. So we went through and configured it and have it on order. Probably won't get it until midsummer. And they said they might get their Mannequin, which is a demo, which will be the top of the line. Ours is one notch below it. And they said they'd be happy to have ours if we don't want it and we get all our money back. So we're going to see. The other thing I was going to tell you, and this is through Moses Ford, is that they said they're getting a Mach-E Mannequin is what they call demo in shortly. And if anybody wants to go drive one of those, they can. Moses Ford in St. Albans. And I mentioned that I had this call, and he was kind of excited that I would mention that to all of you. So they've been very good to work with. We bought a used car from them a few years back, and they have been treating us very well and very respectfully. Also, they said absolutely no markup from MSRP. The owner feels strongly that he's not going to rip people off by charging extra for the EVs.
I saw news articles where some Ford dealers were charging.
Keep going with other discussions.
Trying to charge like $30,000 markups on top of MSRP for some of those vehicles. And then there was a recent article where GM was coming out basically letting their dealers know ahead of time that they won't put up with any, markups on top of MSRP. But we'll see how strongly they actually do that.
Yeah, essentially, I've heard that they will, if they hear of a markup, they'll put those dealers at the absolute last. But if 50% of them are doing it, it'll be interesting to see. And I've heard one article I read is that the GM and Ford are looking at what they can do against those dealers. Obviously, they're independent companies, but looking at to see whether they can just, there's terms and conditions within their contracts and so forth, and they might be able to enforce something in there.
Probably the best way to control it is, I think, like what you mentioned, Scott, is just control their allocations of vehicles. If you're going to abuse it, then you don't get the vehicles.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that Tesla's putting off the Cybertruck for another year. That is really disappointing. But,
yeah, I wanted to compare the Cybertruck to all the others coming out.
Well, it looks like by 2023, I mean, if the Cybertruck arrives and the new Silverado arrives and the F-150s, is ramped up into more volume, we'll start seeing some real competition in the truck space.
Yeah, that would be
Rivian's already here, but in very low volumes, of course.
Oh, that's the other thing I need to tell you. When Eric was here just after New Year's, we were right before New Year's Eve, we went down to Charleston and ate at a local restaurant there, and we came out and was pulling out. We were parked by the library, and he yelled from the back seat, "That was a Rivian that just went by." And we went further up Capitol Street, and the guy was parking. He was on his way from Virginia. He's an employee of Rivian, and he was going to Normal, Illinois, and he was asking, he saw our Tesla, and he was asking about where he could charge and so forth. We told him about the opportunities for, at least at South Charleston, obviously pretty slow and everything for him, but he was very appreciative, and we got pictures. I'll share them eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. Been real busy. And he was very much happy to show it off. Go ahead, Rick.
I believe he wouldn't have had his whole trip planned out to where he's going to charge all the way to Normal. That's a hard thing to believe.
That's exactly what Eric and Sue and I thought. Same thing. What was he doing?
If you're in a CCS vehicle and you got to make it through or come this way, I mean, and you need to make decent time, I don't see why you wouldn't go through West Virginia. You would avoid West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I think he wanted to see some of the scenery, and I don't think he was on a real fast time schedule. And it was maybe right before the holidays, so maybe he had the time. So
I bet he knows a lot about Indian mounds.
Remember his name, Steve? Yeah.
Also reminded me, I saw a tweet recently, last couple of days, where somebody on Twitter was talking about Sheetz needed to put in level 2s with their superchargers, or with the fast charging that's going in. And it's like, I responded to that, and it's like, it's a totally different business model and dynamic. A Sheetz convenience store right off the interstate, no one's going to want to hang around there for 3 or 4 hours to charge. I mean, level 2s are destination charging or overnight hotel charging or whatever, but not Sheetz.
Hey, Scott, there's supposed to be a level 2 in the City Hall parking garage now. They're on Virginia Street.
Is it active, Marty?
Yeah, that's what I heard. They got it up and running.
Oh, they never got back in touch with me. I was there for a demo. Larry and I went down for a demo just to test it out and make sure it was working, and it was. And they said they're going to open it next week, and they call us back, and they never called me back.
What city was that?
Okay.
Charleston at the City Hall next to it's one Chip paid for. It's on the first floor as you come in the parking garage from Virginia Street. It's on the left.
I was just in that garage 3 days ago when I signed up to run for 2 political party positions. That's when I went over to the courthouse. But I should have set up to the first floor of the parking garage.
Yeah, it's just a 2 of the meters. There's 2 plugs. They're at the meters, and they charge the same amount, $1 an hour, as they do at any other stall there. They just
Well, I go up to the top floor, 25 cents an hour for meters. That's the sky level of the parking garage. So that's too expensive for me when I can go up to the top and just, 25 cents. But
Parking garage penthouse there.
that's right.
Well, speaking of the Chip's donated chargers, we've got a new one, I guess, that's coming. Shepherdstown Library is the latest recipient of those. So don't know when they'll be installed, but they applied and Chip approved that.
And I got an inquiry from Superintendent at Cass Scenic Railroad. He was, I think he'd put in an application, but he hadn't copied us, and Chip lost it. So I asked him to resend it. So hopefully we'll get one at Cass.
That's a great destination because you take about 3 or 4 or 5 hours with the train trip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one 3 miles away at Greenbrier Observatory, but that's a really good location. Yeah.
But you can't get from one to the other. You can't park at Greenbrier and then walk to Cass.
It's a long walk.
Oh,
I mean, NRAO.
another thing I was going to mention, looking through the Ford 150 literature online, is they were really promoting that with their charger that comes with at least the model we ordered with the long range battery as well as the top of the line, that you can backflow in a power failure to your house and power it. And they're advertising like up to 3 days with, rational usage in the house, and even 10 days if you're really rationing it. So
Well,
they were promoting that to people.
There's one place where the NEC code really, really works and applies, and that is that you have to have a automatic disconnect on your house when you do that, because you can kill linemen.
They mentioned that you got to have it installed properly and have the disconnect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I watched a video last night from a company called Span.io, SPAN. It was a guy who used to work for Tesla and in the power division, and he's invented this home panel that he wants every new home to have, which not only it just enables you to, like what I think Robert can already do, send electricity to certain places and not to others. So you're already set up for solar, you're already set up for your EV, but the panel is $3,500. But you do it all from your smartphone. But I don't think there's going to be a big market at that price to replace a panel that's working fine for what you need it to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do that. I can monitor it, but I've had discussions with with people about that concept, because that's what we need, a smart panel where it can automatically sense the state that it needs to be in to like shut off the the main power connection to the grid, and enable certain breakers when you're in a certain condition, kind of deal. I mean, I think that technology will eventually arrive, Rick. But you're right, $3,500 is a little pricey right now.
The other thing they emphasized is for all these vehicles that you can do vehicle to grid, you're already set up for those few things that you can run from your vehicle. So it's not just the solar panel, it's the F-150 Lightning. And you want to do, well, in the summertime, you want to do your air conditioning. That's pretty critical. But in the wintertime, you don't want to do that. So it's, the panel was very smart and very nice. I just don't have 3,500.
Yeah. I don't see how you could run an air conditioner from a EV. Because that you would need some big cabling for that. And just a 110 plug is not going to cut it.
The few EVs I've seen that have talked about that, like some of the new Hyundai, the Ioniq, and the Kia, I mean, yeah, they offer power capabilities, but they're pretty minimal. You're not going to run a heavy load on those things.
Yeah, the Ford said, I think 9.9, call it 10 kilowatt coming back out.
And I'm only 1.6 kilowatts coming back out of my Bolt.
I'd like to say that Span is, of course, not the only player in the game. Although they do have a really nice product. It's more of a whole home solution. But Lumen offers a a very similar product, although it is limited as to the number of circuits that you can control. But generally, with an energy storage system, you don't have to control every single breaker. You just want to watch and make sure that certain loads don't come on at the same exact time. And they're also launching a newer product to where you can deploy it on maybe only 2 or 3 circuits. And we're actually incorporating that into our solar plus storage installs. But there's a lot of movement out there in that circuit control space. So there's going to be a lot of options coming up. Well, there already are a lot of options, but it's really exciting technology coming on.
Yeah, I think the technology will get better and the prices will come down just like it always does with new technology. So
yeah. What we're seeing is whole home backup is becoming possible, and that is because of these breakers that allow us to turn off loads and essentially pick, like, okay, now we're off grid, so now we need to be conservative. So it only allows, you can set it so your water heater only runs for like 45 minutes a day, and then, it's on when you need it, and then you can shut it down the rest of the day. And then, of course that works for other things, because without load control, if the power goes out and it starts drawing on your energy storage system, you'll drain your energy storage system before you know it, and then you're in the dark.
Yeah.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention. I've shared this with Taylor already. There was a study done by Lanny Hartman over in Maryland. He actually just went to fast chargers near his house, 5 of them, and he read the meter a month apart, and was able to calculate the daily average usage on the superchargers and other DCFC stations. He had 5 total, and if the Tesla supercharger was an urban supercharger, so they only had 72 kW stalls, and he put out a average usage per stall per day at each of the stations, and I thought it was a pretty interesting study. And I just wondered if that might be something when the weather gets warmer, we might want to do here in West Virginia with the Tesla superchargers and get a handle on how much they're used. I think the meters are. I asked Lanny, and he said he just went and the meters were all visible, so he just took a picture of it like the first of the month and went back a month later and took another picture, and then based all his calculations. And I did some calculations, and it showed that the Tesla urban superchargers were used about 6 hours a day, and it was down to one of the charge point chargers was used 20 minutes a day. So I thought that was a pretty interesting study. And Taylor, maybe you had some insights. I shared it with you. If everyone wants to see the study, I'll pass it along.
Yeah, maybe send that link out, Marty.
Okay. Got to say, Marty, I'm looking at my email, and I don't know if I've seen that or not. I'm trying to find it here.
Okay.
I might not have. I don't know if I've seen that, unless it was a really long time ago and I just forgot. But
well, it was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Maybe apply on that so it'll pop up. I'm not. But
distribution did you
sounds really simple though. I mean, that's yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
How wide a distribution did you send it out to?
Just to Taylor when he was having all the discussions about talking to EVgo and other companies. I sent it to him to show him.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's the location was Hanover, Maryland, which is on the is in between Baltimore and Washington. It's an area with a lot of EVs, but the implication was, in my mind, that the Tesla superchargers were much, much busier and than all the others combined.
And one other feature that's nice about Tesla is if you had the time and had stuff up in the corner of your screen, you're doing other computer work, you can monitor how full the supercharger, a particular one, is at any given time, and just know then the time distribution during the day, at least how many stalls are open, implying how actively they're being used at different time periods.
I think it's more, it would be, did Lanny have, he had other stations, so we know the superchargers are pretty used regularly. I'd be really interested to see what what it looks like on the CCS
I'll
side.
send out Lanny's thing, and I'll send out I did the additional analysis I did. You know, I assumed that each one was on average was at 75% of its maximum rate, and then he had the number of kilowatts per day, and I translate that into hours per day. And the Tesla supercharger was by far the busiest, and I think there was the one urban supercharger, and then four other. One was Electrify America. One was, and even it was only the average stall was only busy an hour a day or something. So.
Marty, I'm seeing where it looks like Rick had replied to that message, but I can't see the original message.
Okay, well, I'll send it to you again.
Yeah, so that's.
I'll put it out on the list to everybody.
Yeah, just put it out on the list for everybody.
Okay,
yeah. But I also forwarded something about some news that broke yesterday about solid state batteries. It looks like that's going to be a big change. I'd say coming up to about 2025. I guess General Motors and LG Chem is partnering on that, and it looks like Toyota is somehow involved as well. Looks like they're considering a manufacturing plant in, I believe, looks like in Lansing, Michigan, and then also it mentions here in Ohio and Tennessee.
Do they talk about the chemistry? Is it still nickel, magnesium, cobalt chemistry? Is it using other elements? I
gotta say, they're calling it solid state chemistry in here.
Yeah, but that's just the electrolyte.
I guess they're not really digging in.
Yeah, the electrolyte is a liquid, and that's very flammable. That's what causes the fires. And so if you can do with the electrolyte, but the electrolyte's a very, very small fraction of the total mass. Less than
the
1%.
Anode and cathode pieces, and what the materials that they're made out of. Trying to get away from cobalt and that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Toyota CEO or COO was he's talking highly on how what they are doing is they're going to make it so that recycling will be facilitated pretty easily with their technology as well. So that's.
But the only thing I'll say with a grain of salt is we've seen articles for several years about solid state batteries arriving any day now, kind of thing. Yeah. So I will believe it when I see.
So Sony first came out with lithium ion batteries in the late 80s, and it took 15 years or so before they start being used in EVs. So it's a long development process.
And solid state batteries do exist. I mean, I believe there's some buses that use them now in Europe. It's just you've got you can make a solid state battery. Can you make it with enough energy density at a low enough cost and mass producible? Those are always the caveats. Yeah, you can make something, but can you make it do all those things well enough?
I wish you could do that with the Model Y mirrors. Larissa knocked our mirror off backing out of the driveway the other day, and I got an estimate $960 from Tesla. I said, no, I'm good. Laws of supply and demand, I guess.
Do you
So
cop the wires together or what?
I took it all apart and got I got the wires taped up good to so it's in good shape until I decide if I want to spend $900 or try to find I'd like to buy
The junkyard.
yeah, I'd be
Junkyard
looking at I'd be
Yeah.
hunting junkyards pretty hard before I paid $900 for a
You
Rivian.
need
Yeah.
a junkyard in California that might have a Model Y mirror.
Well, I'm thinking I'm probably going to go down to Dollar Tree and buy a mirror and some 3M tape, and I'll make something happen.
They do have them on eBay.
Yeah. Well, I'm just concerned. I don't want to buy some. I just want it to be. I want it to be functional. I just know $950 is insane, but I would like for it to be an actual Tesla part. I mean, buying something off of eBay or some Chinese site. I don't know. I'd like it to be quality.
I don't know if it's the same mirror as the Model 3. If it was the same mirror, then of course there's a lot more Model 3s out there where you might find.
No, I believe it is unique. Yeah.
It is unique. Okay.
I spotted a used Tesla for sale in St. Albans. It's 2019 with 24,000 miles on it. It's white. It needs a set of tires pretty soon. And they wanted $49,000 for it, which I thought was a little high.
Is that a 3?
Yes, a Model 3.
Yeah, it sounds a little high.
A little.
One thing I'd like to give a little update on the Nitro police car. I talked to Matt Hayes maybe a couple of weeks ago about how they were getting along with it, and they're struggling a little bit with only level 2 charging the way they use it. So they're really needing like an urban level charger or something.
If they could just get like a 24 kilowatt, DC, one of those small DC ones, that would probably help a lot. Any type of DC charging would vastly exceed what it could do on AC.
Is he still complaining about the brakes being inadequate
Brakes? Was he complaining about the brakes?
Yeah, I heard him complain one time that he drives like they're trained to at the State Police Academy, which is very, very aggressively. So they really slam on the brakes there, as they come up to somebody when they're pulling them over, they drive real fast and then slam on the brakes. And he was complaining that the brakes were we never had that problem because we always use regenerative braking, but that's not the way the police drive.
Okay.
They need some more aggressive pads or something too. I don't know.
Yeah, you see the same complaint on the if you watch any of those videos of people taking their Model 3s out on the track. Even the new performance ones, they still think the brakes are a little weak compared to other track vehicles.
Robert, you mentioned the 24 kW charger. That's do you know where they can get that? That is a DC charger, right?
Well, I think what you'd have to get is you'd probably end up buying a like a 24 kilowatt CHAdeMO or CCS, because I don't know if anybody makes one with a supercharger or a Tesla connector.
Yeah.
Without looking into it, but anyway, you could use an adapter with like a CHAdeMO 24 kilowatt charger. And Rick, didn't you look at some of those, or Taylor? Maybe one of you guys had looked at some different models.
Well, Blink has recently launched. They have a wall charger available now, and it's DC, and it's I believe they go up to 50 kilowatt. I'm actually scouring my email now to find that publication, but they did share that with me, and they had announced it there just a couple weeks ago.
If you get that, I'd like to email me a copy of it there.
Yes, I sure will.
I called the people at ChargePoint, and they install the ABB and the Bosch, and they said that they're so popular, the 24 kilowatt, that there was a 9-month waiting list to buy one.
Oh, wow.
And they're 14,500.
Well, that's a lot cheaper than it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and I don't want to send it to the whole group, but I'll send it to.
Yeah, send it out. I'd like to see it. Let's just put it out to the group.
It looks to be a video. I'm not. I'll have to. It's just an embedded YouTube video of a new product that they're launching, but there's really no.
You want to put it in the chat on this call? I'll when I send out the notes for this, or the recording for this call, I can also include any links that we've got in the chat.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just forwarded it there by email. I'll see if I can find it here on my phone.
Yeah, Larry, if they could get DC charging, that would probably help a lot obviously on the speed of charging versus what that standard range can do. The other thing I wonder about, since it's a standard range vehicle, in the cold weather, especially, regenerative braking is going to be not as available as often with that battery if it's not kept warm. And the level of regenerative braking is going to be diminished because of the smaller battery pack.
You might need to mute me there. I don't know if you can hear that or not.
Yeah, I hear something.
Yeah, just mute me. I can't.
Oh, there it is. All right, guys. Well, it's about 9:45. I did want to talk a bit about the language that we talked about for the legislature, and sample language that we could at least start sending out. I mean, with the being very realistic that we're not going to change the world with some letters, but if we can start building some awareness and start sowing the ground with possibly changing the vehicle direct sales ban, I wanted to bring that up on this call and see if we had a discussion on that. I also still have the sample language that I had created before. I've updated that just a little bit. But any other thoughts or comments on that? And I can share what I've got.
Just one note before you get into it.
Yeah.
My experience being in the Chevy dealer and realizing, hey, I don't need you guys for maintenance. Everybody else was in there in the waiting room getting their oil changes and getting transmissions repaired and everything else. And these dealers are really going to be hurting when EVs come in. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but they're going to.
And that's why there's laws. I mean, that's why like states like West Virginia have put those restrictions in law to keep dealerships, in play.
Right. So these, it's just going to be one of those things like Blockbuster video stores, I'm afraid. I mean, there's just such a change coming. Dealers are going to have to really rethink, recalculate what they do and how many are needed in different geographical areas. And it's going to be really upsetting. So you're going to meet tons of resistance to start with.
Oh, definitely.
Well, that's why we've seen that from the dealers.
That's why they lobby as hard as they do.
Yeah.
Twist,
Of course, Tesla's done a really lousy job of putting in enough service centers, to realize they now have 3 in the state of Ohio and with 2 more coming this year, maybe. They're just really, really slow at rolling out things like service centers and.
Of course, the direct sales thing, it's not about Tesla anymore. I mean, not just Tesla. I mean,
right.
Rivian, Lucid, NIO, any of these new manufacturers, face the same challenges. And in the modern world that we live in, no one, I won't say no one, but there's less impetus for a new manufacturer to go to the franchise model.
Yeah, basically there was no such thing as a Wall Street IPO and stuff like that to garner in billions of dollars to set up a network of sales points like there is nowadays. So
and it's owning the customer experience and all the data that goes with that. They're not going to just turn that over to other entities if they can help it.
Right.
All right. Well, let me share my screen here real quick.
Oh, by the way, Delegate Hansen has reintroduced the anti-icing bill into this year's legislature.
Yeah, I saw that. And the language or the bill to repeal the annual registration fee for EVs, I believe.
Okay.
I think in one of the previous emails, somebody was saying that they didn't see where the code prohibited how it was anti-competitive. So this is the bill from 2015 that changed the code. And as I can see it, this is the applicable section. A manufacturer may not accept as provided directly or indirectly operated dealership, including, these things.
Yeah, it doesn't even allow a manufacturer to provide maintenance.
I'm wondering if maybe you got to look at the gun show loophole for guns and think about a motor vehicle loophole to have trade shows, because that's kind of what I thought about with that one quote.
So that's what we're not just Tesla said, but other manufacturers, any new vehicle, and whether it's EV or anything, if you want to have a different sales model than if you want to do mail order, cars, you can't do that because this law says you have to have a dealership. So we've basically created a monopoly for dealerships. It's a state mandated monopoly. Is what the government mandated monopoly is what we've created to benefit a very specific set of businesses.
Maybe they can have a bus that travels from Charleston to Columbus every day and back. And people that want to see a Tesla can just get a free ride up to Columbus and then see it and come back.
Well, Tesla actually contacted me one time, and it was a saleswoman I got to know at Columbus. She's not there anymore, but she was willing to bring an EV down to somewhere in Ohio or right across the river from West Virginia, and if we wanted to have people to test drive. And at the time, everybody in the club already owned an EV, and I told her I don't think there'd be much interest in it.
And I'm coming at it from just my mindset is I hate that, maybe it's more libertarian, but the government choosing what is allowable and what is not. Yeah, we have to do that in some situations, but for something like how a business chooses to sell its products, that's not one of those situations.
Right. I agree with you.
It should be. Go ahead.
Can a service center be considered a dealership?
There's a clause in there that doesn't allow direct manufacturer servicing either.
Oh.
That it has to be through a third party. However, it doesn't ban Ranger service.
No.
Yeah, they just can't have a building.
Yeah,
they don't want a presence.
When I looked over the legislation a few weeks ago, I'm saying that the primary purpose behind the legislation passed was not to target Tesla. There was a whole bunch. It was a very big, comprehensive bill with respect to dealers, protecting dealerships. So, that was my point.
Yeah, there was a lot of changes to this. Like if I go back up here to the top, you can see all the sections that were changed. So there was a lot of changes. Some of these have nothing to do with the direct sales. It is to help protect existing franchise dealerships from manufacturers and maybe practices that those manufacturers want to put on franchise dealerships. But at the same time, they added language that prohibited anything but a franchise dealership. So it's not like we want to throw out this whole thing. It's just that one section is prohibiting manufacturers who don't use franchise dealerships.
Yeah, when this passed, there was only Tesla, but now there's, a plethora of new manufacturers.
Shows you why people like, say, Dutch Miller would resist this. I wonder how much money he has tied up in you. I mean, these guys have tremendous inventory and stuff and money tied up, right?
Yeah, of course, a lot of that's financed by the manufacturers themselves, that floor plan financing that they get from the captive finance companies. Not to say that they still don't have, they have very large investments in the facilities and land and people and everything else that they've had to put in. So yeah, of course, it's in their interest to force all vehicle sales to go through a dealer.
Right.
And there's a lot of churn in that business. Here in Charleston, we lost Bert Wolf a few years ago.
We lost you, Marty.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying there's been a lot of churn in that business. Dealers go in and out of business all the time, and they all seem to be sole proprietorships. So as a dealer gets older, they either pass it on to their kids or they sell out to their competitor down the road. So
they have so much money to throw at this problem that we're not going to get a foothold with letters. And, unless there's a lawsuit, which would still cost $150,000, it's just not going to be effective at all.
I don't think there's a violation of the law. I argued cases in federal court. I'm an attorney involved in the Commerce Clause. I don't think there's a burden on interstate commerce that would give you a remedy. Because you could either require or prohibit vertical integration if you're a state legislature under the case law that I've seen. So I don't think it's a violation of the Commerce Clause. I think it's bad policy, but I don't think that a lawsuit would work. I think you would lose if you were to challenge this as being a violation of an infringement on interstate commerce. And perhaps Tesla's already figured that out. I just think it's very bad policy. The legislature is supposed to, protect the you and me, the almost 1.8 million people live in West Virginia. That's supposed to be the first priority. Protecting dealerships is supposed to be way down the totem pole, in my opinion.
And I think you're right, Thornton. I mean, I don't think you could have a successful lawsuit saying that the legislature didn't have the right to make the changes that they made. It's just that those changes are anti-competitive. It's bad policy. So
yeah, no,
we want to see that change.
Tesla has not had a suit under the Commerce Clause of the Constitution adjudicated yet. I think there's one state where they've actually brought it, and the legislature caved and made a deal with them. I think that was in Michigan, and allowed them to put in display, and allows them to do service, but you still have to buy the car on the internet. They can't actually sell you the car. They can't talk about the pricing in the display center.
Which, I'd be okay with that. It's like, as long as you can go somewhere and see them and I can get it serviced, I don't really care how I have to buy it. Well, what I could do is I could send this language out again. And, we're not saying that, people have to do this, of course. It's just, if you feel strongly about it, you don't like the idea that our legislature is being, creating this anti-competitive, monopolistic vehicle sales situation, and you feel like you should contact your representatives in the West Virginia legislature, that you can use this language as a starting point.
Thank you.
Robert, I've got one additional perspective. It's on the Ford experience with ordering the F-150. The dealer couldn't do one step of it, which was when I got an email from Ford, I had to go in, configure the car or the truck, and then push the button, and then it released it to the dealer to take it from there. That they couldn't actually order it like you would normally have done a car in the past, as you've probably all experienced. So I don't know if this makes much difference to the conversation, but
Well, it plays in one way, Scott. I think it gets to the point of we're in a modern era where there are new innovative ways to market products like vehicles. So a company like Tesla or Ford, and they want to do a hello, somebody else talking?
And what happens?
Just the point was that because there are new innovative ways to do things on using technology like the internet, reservation systems. If a manufacturer wants to create a reservation system on new models to gauge market interest in a specific model or set of features or new technology, the manufacturer has to be involved. And so that's different than the way it's always been done in the past. So we can't stifle, innovation and using new technology just because that's the way we've always done it. That's the point of this, is you should allow new innovative things to come to market. And if they fail, they fail. That's the way the free market works. But allow them to fail.
When I ordered my Chevy Volt in 2011, a private individual had made a list of people that wanted to buy the car. He had 70,000 names on it. He gave it to GM, who threw it in the trash and never used it. They never used it for marketing. They certainly never used it to prioritize where the cars went. And so you had to call around the individual dealers and make your own deal with that individual dealer. And I ended up buying my car in Maryland because the West Virginia dealers, I walked in, gave them my business card, and never heard from any of them. They weren't interested. And so I don't know what that's just the first indication that the car dealers want nothing to do with electric cars.
Well, I think it goes further than that, Marty. That's just it is, yes, with EVs because they're so new, but also a group of businesses that are protected in law have no incentive to innovate. They have no incentive to do anything different. And if a manufacturer wants to do anything outside of the normal case of business, they're not interested, and they don't have to be. There's no threat to them. There is no new innovative startup that's going to put them out of business or take their business. So they don't care. They have no incentive to work in a different way than they've always worked. And that's the danger, is you get a set of businesses that are so protected, they have no incentive to innovate and they don't care. Okay, well, we're right at 10. So I can send this. I said I've updated this language a little bit from the last time I sent it out, so I can send it out again. If I don't get any feedback, what I might do is just post it as a PDF on the website and say, hey, if you feel strongly about it, you want to use it, feel free.
Thank you for doing it, Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry, are you still on here?
Yes.
You want to check out my background there? That's the Kingland, Georgia supercharger right next to the police station. So maybe Nitro needs to see if they can get Tesla to look at him.
Yeah, that's a great spot. It's got a little picnic table, and
I felt pretty safe there, actually.
Yeah,
Maybe
no one's been mugged at that one.
A Tesla urban supercharger and at the Nitro police department.
Speaking of service, did any of you see the green car reports that Firestone wants to get into the servicing business for EVs?
I saw that they wanted to have charging at their locations, that they were trying to cut some deals to have EV charging, but I didn't see that they were really pushing for servicing.
Can I share for a sec?
Sure.
You come up?
It says it's starting to share.
There it is.
Well, I take my car to my Tesla to Firestone now to rotate the tires.
That's a really good idea because that's the main thing needs to be done to EVs.
Well, you might need wiper blades, an alignment every now and then.
Well, being in West Virginia, anytime I rotate the tires, I do check the alignment and the balancing.
Why is that?
I've never taken my car to a dealer to have the alignment checked, and it wasn't out of alignment.
Like you're making a comment on West Virginia roads there, Marty.
Thank you, West Virginia roads.
No. It was a cause of trips to Ohio.
Oh, hi.
Oh.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
We finally see Scott.
Yeah,
Hey, Scott.
I've just gotten back to a different location where I was.
He was at an undisclosed location.
Go ahead.
What's your progress on buying a electric delivery truck for your business?
You mean van?
Yeah.
Well, it's in the works. Same thing, working through a different part of Ford to get the e-Transit, and we've got a reservation for 6, and I'm wanting to make sure if I get one, that the other 5 are still on hold or whatever, not going to be forced to get all of them at the same time. And I think on that side where it's a fleet, I think I'll be able to do that. That's the indication I'm getting, but still to be confirmed.
GM apparently is marketing one too called the Bright Spot.
Bright Drop. Yeah, I was
Bright
going to
Drop.
mention those. Yeah.
And these green motor guys that are building a factory in South Charleston, they also make a delivery van.
Yeah, that's half a mile from my house. I can actually see part of that building where they're going to make the electric buses. It's 1.6. I've driven to the site. It's 1.6 road miles from my house, but it's as a crow flies, it's half a mile. But you have to go over the railroad, the interstate, Canal Turnpike. So it's not easy to get there you can't walk there. But I mean, in half a mile. But I'm very happy that they're doing this, so close to my house. I mean, I'm amazed that South Charleston was able to pull that one off. I'm very proud of that.
Have you looked at their trucks, delivery vans, or whatever, Scott?
No, I haven't, but I will.
Okay. Yeah, they are actually delivering them, but I think just a few, not very many, and they're only making them at their California plant.
Okay.
And I'm not sure they're designing them for last mile deliveries either.
Use the VW ID Buzz van, painted up like a 60s, van.
Well, what we need with our city routes are something like the 4D Transit, which is equivalent to about what's called a P500, and that's 500 cubic feet of space to carry cargo. And that's the step vans the smallest step vans. The largest step vans that you see UPS and FedEx driving around are 1200s, which have 1200 cubic feet in the back. And so it's a lot and for the busy city routes. Now the country routes will use stuff that's much smaller, equivalent to like a 12 or 15 passenger van, because they're going so much further and the stops are further apart. But in the city where we deliver to the mall and to Southridge and everything, we sometimes come back nowadays with people like Target and Walmart using their stores as sort of warehouses, sometimes with more packages than we started out delivering on the commercial routes.
Well, keep us apprised of that. I'd really like to. We definitely need a meetup as soon as you get delivery of one.
Oh, I will be first to tell you about it when we get one. I'm going to be real proud to have it. And it's the charging's going to be, that's why I only want to get one to start with, because that's going to be a problem to start with, is charging it, having it at the terminal ready to be loaded by the package handlers, because that starts real early in the morning. They're out there working from 2 in the morning on through when we dispatch it around 9:30, and usually in 2 waves. So FedEx has talked about putting charging in at their terminals, but they're dragging their feet, claiming, oh, we don't want to hurt your vehicles. It's like, it'll work.
So that takes place at a FedEx facility, not where you own, not something you own. But you park the vehicles at
that's corporate.
So do you park your vehicles there overnight? Or you park them on
The
your
terminal
own
out
property?
at Nitro is corporate owned.
Okay.
You park them out there, because then they'll take the keys and go put them. Well, we usually, from the night before, bring them in, but if they need to find a vehicle, they can go get it from the fenced in area around the terminal.
All right, guys. Well, it's about 10 after 10.
One brief point.
Any other last minute thing?
I got an email last night from Marshall University inviting us to participate in their Earth Week celebration, which is the 18th to 22nd. And they're going to have a big event out on the grassy knoll there on the 20th. And they've invited our EV group to do our deed at that time. And as we know before, it was very popular. We had 5 EVs, and because the event drew people, not just for the EVs, we must have talked to 100 people that day. So I think I probably will say that we would like to participate with them. And so that's the 20th of April, and any of you that could do that. And I think that Dixon Electric, which has 50 of their 65 employees are EV ITP certified, talked to me about putting in a DC charger at their location, and they want to go with 200 kilowatts because they think that that's going to be the future, that 50 kilowatt cars just simply won't be made anymore. So they want to be trucks and everything. So but what they said was they would help us sponsor any events that we wanted to do. And so I may invite them to come and, set up a booth and be in conjunction with us, and they would advertise then for us.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah, that sounds good. So April 20th. Okay, we should let folks know about that. And
you're going to take care of the paperwork, Rick, to be the city captain and all that?
Yeah, I went to a EVA meeting this week, and they gave us the link for the city cabin, which I can give to anybody if they want to. It's a groups.google.com link.
Okay. Yeah, just post it to the mailing group.
To the what?
Post it to
I'm
the
going to put it on
group.
the calendar. I'll try and get over there for it.
Yeah.
I'll try to put a note in the when I send out this recording. I'll put a note about that. And Rick, just have folks contact you if they can think they might be able to attend.
Is there a value to putting it in the chat box now?
If you want to, I can go ahead and put the link in the when I send out the recording. All right. So as far as some upcoming things that we've talked about on this call, I'm going to make sure I've got this written down too. So Marty, we're talking about a possible event on March 5th at the new Princeton Supercharger, weather cooperating.
Yeah.
This is April 20th, deed event and this will be at Marshall.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to send out the text for this letter for the legislature if folks want it. Okay, was there any other events that we had dates or times with yet?
Hey, April 20th is a Wednesday.
Yeah, we did it on Thursday before, but it is during the week. It's not going to be on the weekend. Their big event, what they call their table event, will be Wednesday with all the booths. And we could get a booth inside in case the weather's inclement. but we'll just have to play it by ear because you can't take the vehicles in.
Right.
Okay. I'll make these notes in when I send out this recording.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Robert, and everybody else. Great meeting, or great EV and coffee.
Stay warm out there.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yeah, 16 degrees this morning.
Night.